Well, that was a beatdown. I thought it was going to be a much closer game. It wasn't. It was total domination, an excellent Super Bowl contender taking out a fraud. So I'm going to take you through how the Niners put the Vikings into checkmate instantly, so quickly, how Robert Saleh did it, how Kyle Shanahan did it. I'll take you through the best play calls, the worst play calls, and there weren't that many bad ones. Good Jimmy, bad Jimmy, and there was more bad Jimmy than you would expect from a playoff win, but there was some good Jimmy too. Lots of stock up, a little stock down, and a look ahead to next week. A brief look ahead. You notice I'm not doing this live this week. I'm taping it because I have a little extra time and I'm thinking I'd like to edit this and make it cleaner and more digestible for you, the viewer. See how it works. So, enough hemming and hawing. Let's get into the tape. All right. How Robert Saleh got Kevin Stefanski in checkmate right off the bat. First play of the game. You're thinking, how is Robert Saleh going to stop the run with the wide nine defense, right? Well, he doesn't use the wide nine defense. Not against an offense like this that's basically Kyle Shanahan's offense. You got two backs and a tight end. He's not going to do wide nine against that. He knows it's a run-first offense. You have to have a defensive front that's primarily built to take away the run. So here you still have your wide nine. He's outside the tight end, Nick Bosa. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the line. You got this outside linebacker right here, Quan Alexander, setting the edge. So you have two strong edge setters, three guys between the tackles, three guys behind him. That's selling out to stop the run. That's daring the Vikings, to do anything else, to throw, to run outside the tackles, to run a reverse. Not this. This is Robert Saleh telling Gary Kubiak and Kevin Stefanski, you're not going to be able to do what you want to do today. You're a run-first team. You want to run outside zone. We're not going to let you. Quan Alexander sets the edge. Eric Armstead makes a tackle, gain of 3. And that's what the run game was like. This was like one of the best runs of the game for the Vikings. This was checkmate after the first play. Just this front alone told the Vikings, we're not going to let you run outside zone. We're setting the edge here and here. We're not going to let you run at all. Pack in the middle. No wide nine today. We have a specialty front designed to stop you. This is what Robert Saleh would do to stop Kyle Shanahan if he was facing the 49ers. It's interesting. So Saleh is not necessarily just a scheme guy, a system guy. He can tweak his system week to week to take away what the opposing offense does best. We see it here. Okay, so taking away the run game was the equivalent of putting the Vikings into check, or their offense into check. But checkmate was also taking away the play-action bootleg game. That's the stuff that the Rams did against the Niners really effectively, and the Niners weren't really prepared for until about the second or third quarter. I was expecting the Vikings would try the same thing since the Rams had success with it. Just see if the Niners are prepared for it. This was early in the game. This is first quarter, 8-11. Here comes the bootleg. Notice Eric Armstead is selling out to stop it. He's not concerned about the running back whatsoever. They're trusting these guys to stop the running back, and Armstead is sold out to take out the quarterback. He puts Kirk Cousins down on his face. It's a 3-yard gain. So they've effectively taken away the outside zone, the play-action bootleg. That's the basis of Kyle Shanahan and Gary Kubiak's offense. Kyle Shanahan is much more creative than Kubiak. Shanahan has a million counters that he could go to if you took away this stuff. Kubiak didn't. This was pretty much the end of the game right here, midway through the first quarter. I mean, watching this, you could tell the Vikings weren't going to score any points unless the Niners turned the ball over and gave them the ball. Or Keller Witherspoon did what a Keller Witherspoon does. We'll get to him later. Okay, here's how Kyle Shanahan put Mike Zimmer and the Vikings defense into checkmate. This is first quarter, 5:23, early on, 1st and 10 from the 49ers, 25. This is exactly how you can't play the 49ers offense. First of all, notice you got two safeties back. The Niners will run for 150 yards every time they see this look. You're daring them to run the ball, they'll run the ball. Also, here's Kittle right here. They almost always run behind Kittle, and they're trying to run outside of Kittle. They're trying to get Kittle to seal right here. You cannot defend the Niners run game with what they call a 6 technique, which is a defensive end head up on Kittle, because Kittle's going to turn him. You got to put the guy out here in a wide 9 position and set the edge. So basically, the Vikings come out and they're not prepared to stop the Niners run game. Run game whatsoever. The 2 deep safeties and the 6 technique inside of Kittle. I mean, watch what happens. First, watch Kittle. Just easily gets around 97, who's a terrific player, and now turns him sideways. That's the key right there. It's like a screen in basketball. Once you turn the defensive lineman's shoulders perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, it's over. Mostert just has to run straight. It's a wide open lane. Run straight. He's fast. Gains 6 yards. He didn't do anything particularly special. Neither did Kittle. This is just what Kittle does to defensive ends who are lined up in a 6 technique position. You have to be outside Kittle, or else he is going to wall you off, screen you out of the play, and Mostert's just going to average 6-7 yards a carry without making cuts. It's just running straight to the sideline. So the Vikings weren't prepared at all for the 49ers. Let's see the adjustment they made, though. Okay, so here we go. Later on in the first quarter, we got Danielle Hunter now outside the tight end. This is a wide 9 front like the Niners would use. So instead of running outside zone, because you really can't run outside zone against a wide 9 defensive end, he's going to set the edge. Kittle's not going to get around him. You bluff. You bring Kittle over here. You pull Lake and Tomlinson to kick out 99, push him even further out, and give a wide open lane up the middle. The Vikings were so worried about Kittle and the Niners' outside zone running game, they give up this straight line up the middle. Watch also, Kittle comes for 34, and 34 jumps out of the way because he doesn't want to get blocked by Kittle. So Kittle just goes to the next guy, 54 here, and essentially is blocking 34 and 54 at the same time. 34 just blocked himself because he was scared. It's a lot of fun to watch Kittle block. If you realize that most of the Niners' runs are right behind him, and the success of the run really is based on how well he did his block. He's that good. So Kyle Shanahan had a counter for every adjustment Mike Zimmer made in his run defense. The Niners ran the ball 47 times and controlled the game with their running game, and eventually demoralized the Vikings and made them quit by running 8 straight times on a touchdown drive in the third quarter. This is how you could tell. This is how you can see the effect of the run game on the Vikings defense. This was right after that 8-run touchdown drive. This is the extra point. Watch the effort the Vikings give on this extra point. Specifically 97, Everson Griffin, who's their defensive end, who was working really, really hard while getting blocked by George Kittle. Here he is right here. There he is standing up. That's like the weakest, most pathetic effort you've seen from a defense or a special teams in the playoffs. This is a playoff game, and this is total capitulation early in the third quarter. That's what running the ball effectively and physically does to a team. You can see it right here. Look at him. He's exhausted. His shirt's untucked. He looks like a slob. He's an excellent player. He's done right now. He's like, I don't care. Whatever, man. I'm taking my helmet off. I'm out of here. And now they want to fight a little bit. Nah, you didn't even want to block the kick. Let's do the best play calls, starting with the offense. This is Kyle Shanahan's best play call. So they line up Kyle Juszczyk at wide receiver. Vikings match up with the cornerback. Juszczyk goes in motion. No one follows him. The safety picks him up. It's clear it's zone. Everything about this is zone. If Juszczyk had gone out here and a linebacker or a safety had picked him up, it'd be man. If someone had followed him across, it'd be man. It's zone coverage. This is information that Kyle Shanahan has given to his offense, specifically Jimmy Garoppolo, just through formation and motion. So what's he going to do? First of all, it's a play-action pass. They're trying to get the ball to Emmanuel Sanders running a deep crossing route. This is zone cover 3, 1, 2, 3 deep. Jimmy sees all of this right now. He knows it's cover 3 zone. He knows he's trying to get the ball to Emmanuel Sanders, and against this particular coverage, this route needs to be defended by this linebacker here. This is how it is. This guy has to pick up the deep crossing route. It's his responsibility. Shanahan knows that, so he's going to put this guy in a bind. Watch. Play action fake right in his viewpoint. Freezes him. Now he's late to drop and pick up his coverage responsibility, which is what Kyle Shanahan wanted. Jimmy Garoppolo throws the ball right over the linebacker's head. Beautiful throw. Good Jimmy. And a great catch from Emmanuel Sanders. But really, I like the design. It's not that flashy. It's just a really easy way to gain 22 yards. You know this guy's going to have to react to the play fake. You know he also has to drop and cover Fastest wide receiver on a deep route. No chance. Shanahan set this up perfectly, and when he called it, I'm sure he felt like as long as his players didn't fall over, as long as the offensive line didn't trip and fall, as long as Sanders didn't trip and fall, this would be a guaranteed 20-yard gain, and it was. All right, this was Robert Saleh's best call of the game. It was right before halftime, 3rd and 11 at the 49ers 17. Notice you got D Ford lined up across from a guard. Armstead and Bosa out wide, and DeForest Buckner basically at nose tackle. This is not how the Niners normally line up, especially on 3rd down. Usually it's Bosa and Ford out wide with Armstead in the middle at nose tackle and Bosa over here Buckner over here against a guard. So it's an unusual alignment. And what you get is this mismatch of D Ford against a terrible guard. That's their weakest link on the offensive line. You also get DeForest Buckner pushing the center into Kirk Cousins' lap so he can't step up. You also get Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa selflessly keeping Kirk Cousins in the pocket so Buckner and Ford can get him. So really, really clever, smart use of personnel by Robert Saleh. Okay, worst play call. Starting with the offense, and this is nitpicky stuff because this was an utter demolition of the Vikings. This is a play that could have been bad. It wasn't bad. It made me, I don't root for the 49ers, but I got nervous when they ran this play because it seemed like the thing you don't do in the playoffs. It's a really great design. You hand off to Juszczyk. It's a twist off the play the Niners ran against the Saints where you hand off to Juszczyk and he pitches it over to Coleman, but instead of that, he's going to pitch it to Deebo Samuel. There's a lot going on here. It's a wet day. The grass was slick. It had been raining all week in Santa Clara. That flip, and then at the end of the run, Deebo Samuel fumbles, but his knee was down. That's not the issue. To me, what this reminded me of, this whole season has really reminded me of the 2011 49ers. And that team arguably was the best team in the league that year, but they didn't even make it to the Super Bowl because they were a little green. They didn't have experience. And in the NFC Championship game, they made some rookie mistakes from the coaching staff down. One was fumbling on a reverse. You shouldn't be requiring young players to handle the ball like that in January in the Bay Area when it's wet. Also, there was the Kyle Williams thing. I'm going to get to that in a minute because there was a moment that Richie James had that reminded me of that. So all I would say with Kyle Shanahan is be careful. You don't want, a botched reverse to be the difference of winning a loss when against a team that you should beat. I don't think you need to do stuff like that, like this anymore. It looks great in the regular season. It's risky in the playoffs. And remember, this is one way the Niners didn't get to the Super Bowl in 2011. This against the Giants, fumbling on a wet field. Real quick, I'm not going to do a worst play call for the defense because they gave up 10 points. Seven of them were the first play, the 41-yard touchdown, and they benched Ahkello Witherspoon after it. Basically, the worst play call from the defense was starting Ahkello Witherspoon, period. Time to do good Jimmy. This is 3rd and 12 at the 49ers 45, second quarter, 11:39, 3rd and 12. Good Jimmy usually comes out on 3rd down, 3rd and long. He's so confident. I mean, Kirk Cousins on 3rd and 8 is looking for a check down right away. Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't dare do that. I mean, he's always looking to throw beyond the sticks, which is, I think, the most admirable part about him, what people enjoy most about watching him play. So here, what I notice is his first read is to the right. He's looking right. But the center, Ben Garland's going to give up penetration, and Garoppolo's not going to have time and space to get the ball to Kendrick Bourne where he wants. He's trying to get the ball to Kendrick Bourne here, running this stop route, looking at him, doesn't have time, pressure in his face, so he buys time. This is good Jimmy. Kirk Cousins doesn't do this, and I'm the one that said I'd prefer Kirk Cousins. This is not something you're getting with Kirk Cousins. Floating to the left. Let's watch it from the back. Pause. Looking right, looking right, looking right. This is a guy I've accused of being a one-read quarterback. Well, on 3rd down, if it's not there, he'll extend the play. He won't force it. Finds another guy on the other side of the field, reads the whole field, throws a nice ball. It's a 14-yard throw on 3rd and 12, first down. Here we got 3rd and 5 at the 49ers 42. Vikings are going to bring 5. They're going to blitz. Garoppolo's not going to duck and cover. He's not going to do the instant check down. He's going to convert this first down because that's what good Jimmy does. Watch. They're going to bring the blitz right here. These two guys are going to come in. This guy's going to drop out. Garoppolo's looking left, but he feels pressure from the right and just doesn't look at it. Floats to his left, buys a little time, makes his snap throw over the middle to Kendrick Bourne, who makes his unbelievable catch. I'm going to get to Kendrick Bourne later. He deserves props, but I wanted to put this in the Jimmy file. Good Jimmy. I like how he keeps his eyes down the field. He's so calm. He's just a very, very calm quarterback, which is a compliment. Buys a little time. Not the most perfect throw, but you don't have to make a great throw. There are more great catches than great throws. Just give the guy a chance. Kendrick Bourne has terrific hands. He gave him a chance. Good Jimmy. This is bad Jimmy. First quarter, 34 seconds left. 2nd and 19 at the Minnesota 45. First read is going to be Kittle running a seam route against cover 4, which is zone coverage. Kittle's here. He's going to go in motion. Goes across the formation. Kittle's running this seam route. It's cover 4. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 deep, and Kendrick's running with him. It's a near pick. And if this was a one-off, you'd say, all right, well, bad Jimmy, but, all quarterbacks have throws like this in a given game. But this is something that became a pattern, and it led to an interception later in the game, and it led to Kyle Shanahan taking the game out of Garoppolo's hands and running the ball over and over and over again, which is usually interpreted as a lack of trust in the quarterback. You can't throw this ball. He's not open, and there was no other read. Jimmy Garoppolo stared him down the entire way. You just can't throw this. One of the keys coming into this game that I talked about was not forcing the ball over the middle because all 4 of the Vikings' best coverage guys, or linebackers and safeties, are right in the middle. Don't do this. And what you need to notice, too, Kendricks gets his eyes on Garoppolo, sees Garoppolo telegraphing the throw, and lets Garoppolo's eyes take him to the ball. Lucky wasn't picked. George Kittle had to play defense on that one and break the pass up. That was foreshadowing for something later. Okay, that was at the end of the first quarter. This is at the end of the second quarter. It's 1st and 10 at the 49ers, 19. Garoppolo's under center. There's going to be no play fake. He's just going to drop straight back, and he's going to eyeball, laser eye, Deebo Samuel the whole way. Eric Kendricks reads him, just like he did in the previous play, intercepts the ball. Now, watch. He backpedals, reads the quarterback's eyes, floats to the left, is in perfect position. Shanahan could have helped out Garoppolo on this play. Give a play fake. If he fakes the handoff to the running back there, 54 has to step up, and now there's actually space to throw the ball. That being said, Garoppolo knew there would be no play fake. He knew he would have to – he knew the underneath linebackers would be watching his eyes, and he knew he couldn't telegraph the throw. This is bad Jimmy. This is the worst of Jimmy. One read Jimmy. Telegraph Jimmy. Can't make these mistakes on a Super Bowl run. You can make them against the Vikings, but you can't make them in the Super Bowl. So good to get it out of his system now. Okay, another bad Jimmy. This is in the third quarter, right after halftime, 2nd and 5 at the 49ers, 42. Again, play action. He's trying to throw the ball over the middle to Deebo Samuel, who's over here, running the in route. And look at how many Vikings end up around the ball. 4. Another pass forced over the middle where Jimmy Garoppolo feels most comfortable throwing. Pass he didn't have to make against a team that was doing nothing on offense. When his own run game was gouging the Vikings, you don't need to make this pass. Risky, especially disconcerting that this happened after the interception. Get this out of your system now, Jimmy, because this is a whole lot of bad Jimmy. Okay, final bad, Jimmy. This is third quarter, 10:54, 3rd and 2 at the Minnesota 17. Again, we're going to do play action, bootleg to the right. 83 and 44 are going to block initially, then leak out, and neither one is going to be covered. Jimmy Garoppolo's looking here in the flat. It's not there. He doesn't see Toilolo or Juszczyk. Toilolo's open. He can make that throw. Juszczyk, you could probably make that throw too. There's no one there. But that's a missed opportunity. That's a beautifully designed play by Kyle Shanahan where you should be able to get the touchdown or, if at the very least, be able to get 10 yards to Toilolo. Missed opportunity. And after this, Shanahan really took the ball out of Garoppolo's hands and just ran the ball the rest of the game, which was the right call. What Shanahan should have done in the Super Bowl 3 years ago is definitely what he should have done in this game. Good coaching. Okay, let's get to the stock up section. These are the players whose stock rose after their performance against the Vikings. Let's start with Nick Bosa here on the left, going up against the Vikings right tackle. Look at the leg strength. Driving the right tackle back, then ripping around him, getting to Kirk Cousins. He had Nick Bosa, a second sack in this game later on in the fourth quarter. It was on 3rd and 29. I'm not going to show you this one. This one was 3rd and 8. And the reason I think it's so impressive, one of the many things I underestimated about Nick Bosa coming out of college, he's got to have the strongest legs of any defensive end in the NFL. His power is unreal. Like, John Lynch compares him to Barry Bonds as a power hitter. Yeah, he is the power hitter. He's like a Barry Bonds power. He's like a Frank Thomas, all power with his pass rush. Probably the strongest lower body among all defensive ends in the NFL. Stock up DeForest Buckner. This is your weekly reminder that DeForest Buckner is still the best player on the 49ers. Not George Kittle, not Nick Bosa. It's DeForest Buckner. Saleh uses him as a human sacrifice a lot of the time and just makes him take the double teams where everyone else gets one-on-ones. This time, Saleh gets DeForest Buckner a one-on-one against the left guard, and that's what it looks like when DeForest Buckner has just one person to beat. He can beat two people too, but when he has just one person to beat, he is the most fluid and athletic 6'8" defensive lineman I've ever seen. Stock up Solomon Thomas. He had a good game. Here he is here against the guard, call it a 3 technique position. Fourth quarter, 10:37 left, 2nd and 4 at midfield. Give Thomas credit for recognizing the screen right here, not overrunning the running back, recovering, chasing him down, and when he gets there, hitting him hard, popping the ball out. Fumble, the Vikings recover, but that's a hell of a play, a very smart play by Solomon Thomas. One of the best plays of his career. Stock up Emmanuel Mosley. He replaced Ahkello Witherspoon after the Vikings' second drive. This is second quarter, 5:44 left, 3rd and 9 at the Minnesota 44. He's at the top of the screen, defending Kyle Rudolph, the tight end. Rudolph's going to run a crossing route. Mosley's in a trail position. Robert Saleh calls this a runaway route. It's very difficult for a cornerback to defend this shallow crossing route, especially without some type of underneath zone defender right here to pick this guy up. So Mosley's in a trail position, chases down the tight end, and when he gets there, he hits him hard, doesn't let him turn up the field. Gain of only 3. That was 3rd and 9. It's a hell of a tackle. Something you wouldn't expect from Ahkello Witherspoon. This is one of many reasons that Mosley's the better option. He's a tougher guy, better tackler. Stock up Earl Mitchell. He's back on the team. Remember him? He used to be number 90. Now he's number 93. Back playing nose tackle. This is 2nd and 18 at the Minnesota 4. Second quarter, 14-13 left. This is what he does. He gets double teamed. He doesn't get moved. He stands his ground. He makes the tackle. Gain of only 3. This was one of the Vikings' best runs of the day. He is an asset to the team. He's not as good as DJ Jones, but DJ Jones is out for the year. The Niners needed a stout, run-stuffing nose tackle, and they got him. He's better at stuffing the run than Kevin Givens, who is more of a gap shooter. Stock up Kendrick Bourne. Coming into the game, I said the Niners needed to feature him on offense because he's their secret weapon. Coming into the game, Garoppolo's quarterback rating when targeting Bourne is 121. When you have that kind of efficiency, you got to up a guy's usage, give him more targets, more opportunities. They give him lots of opportunities in the red zone. He's their best red zone target, better than Kittle. And Kittle's great. But this kid, Bourne, has more touchdowns in the red zone this season because he can do stuff like this. Here he's going up against Xavier Rhodes, who used to be good, former first-round pick. The Niners picked on him a little bit. But watch how he gets open. First with the cut outside of his hip, outside of his frame, and the head fake. Those are nifty moves, the kind of moves that like Anquan Bolden didn't have. Anquan Bolden would just bang into people. But look, notice the plant right there, his foot all the way outside of his frame. That's kind of rare. You don't see a lot of wide receivers make cuts like that. And then also the head fake to go with it. He sells the route, pushes off a little bit. There's a couple of yards of separation there. Jumps up, catches the ball, extends with his hands. Perfect. I'm saying this is the best wide receiver on the 49ers right now. Deebo Samuel is a better player, a more dangerous weapon, a more dangerous offensive weapon. Kendrick Bourne's the best wide receiver on the team right now. They got to feature him. Speaking of Deebo Samuel, his stock is up as well. I called him an offensive weapon, and he is. I mean, he's just as effective as a running back as he is as a wide receiver. My knock on him is I've said he's better after the catch than before it with respect to his routes and his hand-eye coordination. Well, this play right here shows he definitely has hand-eye coordination. This is 2nd and 8 at the 49ers 41. It's the first quarter, 13:03 early on. Here he is right here, running a slant, passes a little bit behind him, spins and makes the catch. Now, during the game I thought this was a bad pass, but if you notice, it's man-to-man coverage with a single safety up high and a underneath robber rat defender. This guy's covering no one. He's trying to take away this crossing route. If Garoppolo had led the receiver, it might have been intercepted. It was actually a good throw. He had to throw it behind him. Deebo Samuel had to make a tough catch, and this is what it looked like from the end zone. This is not a guy who struggles with hand-eye coordination right there. This is a guy with good hands and good coordination. What his issue is, to me, is when he does drop the ball, it's inexperience, a lack of concentration, a lack of technique, a lack of discipline, and that always reflects on the position coach, Wes Welker and Miles Austin. Now, Bourne and Deebo and Kendrick Bourne have improved the second half of the year, and Miles Austin and Wes Welker get credit for that. They also get credit for this beautiful display of hand-eye coordination here. It seems like he's improving. Good for the young kid and good for the young wide receiver coaches who have very little experience, Welker and Miles Austin. Stock up Tevin Coleman. He had a lot of nice runs in this game. He rushed for over 100 yards. I'm picking out one run in particular because most of his runs were basically him running right behind George Kittle and Kittle doing most of the work. This one was Coleman doing a lot of the work. 1st and 10, 4th quarter. Gets confronted in the hole by Anthony Barr, who's a hell of a player. It's just him and Barr. Makes a nice jump cut to the right. Has a nice burst. We haven't seen a move like that from Tevin Coleman in a long time, but that's an example of a running back in Kyle Shanahan's system making a play for himself. A lot of times it's the blocking or the scheme. This is all Tevin Coleman. Nice run, nice burst, nice toughness to finish it. Stock up Raheem Mostert. He always finds a way to make a positive impact on the game. Today, in this game, his biggest impact came on special teams. Here he is as the gunner on the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to play this not in slow motion, but in regular speed so you get a real sense of how fast this dude is. I mean, that guy never touches him. Runs right by him. Recovers the punt. Arguably the play of the game for the 49ers. Stock up Richard Sherman, the All-Pro, the future Hall of Famer. This is 3rd quarter, 9:56 left. 3rd and 9 at the Minnesota 34. He's playing man-to-man coverage, covering Adam Thielen, one of the best route runners in the league, and he basically runs the route for Adam Thielen like Sherman was in the offensive huddle and heard the play. This is the thing about Sherman. His coverage often isn't that tight, at least anymore. It used to be. And quarterbacks are terrified to throw his way because of this. But when you watch, I can see coaches looking and saying, we got to test Sherman, we got to test Sherman. His coverage isn't that tight. They go into halftime and say, come on, Kirk, you got to throw one that way. And just when you think You got Sherman. He knows the play. He runs the route. It's an interception. It's the difference in the game. So I want to show you why Kirk Cousins threw this pass, why he felt compelled, and why what led up to this. Remember, I'm putting Richard Sherman in the stock up section. This is earlier in the game. This is first quarter, 13:56, 3rd and 8 at the Minnesota 27. Richard Sherman at the top here, going up against Olabisi Johnson. This is the Vikings' number 3 receiver. It's basically just a placeholder on the field. They rarely give him the ball. They're not even looking this way. Cousins immediately looks left because most quarterbacks are cowards when they face Richard Sherman and don't want to test him at all. Cousins is no different. Sherman gives up the separation. There was something there if Cousins had even looked. The coaches see this, and they'll tell him on the sideline, dude, you got to look at Richard Sherman. You got to look there. Here's another example. This is 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 12-yard line. It's the second quarter, right at the beginning, 14:52. This is going to be a sack for the 49ers, and it's not a play that you would have noticed. They probably didn't even show this on television. I noticed this watching film. Here's Sherman at the bottom of the screen. It's a play-action shot. They're trying to take a shot down the field. They've got 7 guys blocking, 8 guys blocking. It's a 2-man route. Stephon Diggs runs a stutter go, stops his feet, starts going again. Richard Sherman almost falls on his face. If Kirk Cousins had time to throw, it could have been a touchdown, but there was no time to throw because Eric Armstead is a hell of a player. He's going to sack Kirk Cousins real fast, even though they have 8 guys blocking. Gets inside the right tackle. Alex Madison blocks no one. Sherman is not punished for stumbling a little bit. So the coaches are seeing this and they're saying, Kirk, come on, man. Come on, Kirk. Just try it once. Another Richard Sherman one. Kirk Cousins. So timid. Credit Jimmy Garoppolo for never playing like this. Play fake. Richard Sherman gets beat to the inside by Stephon Diggs, but Kirk Cousins doesn't even see it because he's checking the ball down right now from a totally clean pocket. No pressure whatsoever. Checks the ball down to the running back who gets like 2 yards. Doesn't even look at Richard Sherman, who's given up all this. The coaches see it. I mean, there are coaches who are paid to see this and tell people on the sideline, dude, you got to go there. Finally, before halftime, the Vikings drag Sherman over here in the slot because it's man-to-man coverage, and he looks really uncomfortable. He backs up, gives this huge cushion, doesn't want to get beat deep, just concedes the first down to Adam Thielen. Also misses the tackle, gives up a little run after the catch. This was right before halftime, and you can just imagine what the Vikings said. Okay, Kirk, you see you had a little success. You can go after Sherman. We're going to go after him early in the third quarter, and we're going to have a big play. Boom, interception. It's like you watch these clips, and you're like, Sherman's not what he used to be. He's not what he used to be. Boom. He changes the game with interception. What an amazing player. Nothing but respect for a savvy, smart veteran who uses his knowledge and cleverness to offset any physical deterioration that comes with age. Good for Richard Sherman. Really impressive. All right, let's get to the stock down section, starting with Ahkello Witherspoon, of course. He was the GOAT of this game. If he hadn't played, the Niners might have given up only 3 points instead of 10. Here he's at the bottom of the screen playing bump and run, man-to-man coverage. It's just 3rd and 2 at the Minnesota 30. First quarter, 7:29 left. What I want you to notice, this is the worst play of the game for me. Everything about this play was terrible. First of all, not physical at the line of scrimmage, doesn't get a hand on the wide receiver or jam him in any way. Not only that, he rocks the wrong direction, floats to the right, floats to the outside while the wide receiver Adam Thielen goes inside, gives up a 12-yard catch on 3rd and 2. Would have been longer if Jimmy Ward hadn't made that beautiful tackle. This was the worst play of Ahkello Witherspoon's game for me, although let's talk about that play that he gave up, the 41-yard touchdown. All right, stock down Jimmy Ward. When I watch this play again, to me, this one's on Ward. Look at Ward right here. He's running to cover this guy, Kyle Rudolph, the same guy Quan Alexander's already covering. No one's covering this one right here, Irv Smith Jr. Tart's trying to communicate. Jimmy, you're covering the wrong guy. You're supposed to be covering this guy. Quan Alexander's trying to communicate to him too. Dude, you're covering the wrong guy. Jimmy Ward's attitude basically is, I'm covering who I'm covering. You guys help me out. Sorry, I'm already in this predicament. What can I do? And see, at least that's what it looks like. So you got Quan Alexander covering no one. He should be over here covering Kyle Rudolph. And Jaquiski Tartt in the slot covering Irv Smith Jr. when it should have been Ward. Imagine Ward here and Jaquiski Tartt in the middle of the field, giving some safety help to Ahkello Witherspoon, who gets burned deep but really doesn't have terrible coverage. He just doesn't make a play on the ball at the catch point. This is on Ward. He's covering who Quan Alexander should be covering. Alexander should be here. Ward should be here. Tartt should be here. That way when the ball goes up, Tartt can come over and actually help. When you watch this, you're like, why is Robert Saleh not giving Ahkello Witherspoon any safety help? Witherspoon is the guy who needs the most help. Why is he all on an island? He shouldn't be. That's on Ward. So this is an embarrassing play for Ahkello Witherspoon, and they benched him after it. But really, Jimmy Ward hung him out to dry, and if I were Witherspoon, I'd be upset. Stock down, Mike Mcglinchey. This is first quarter, 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 36. He just reacts late off the snap. I mean, one more time. Nothing really to say about it. Here he is. Everyone else goes. He's just standing there. I don't know. I mean, either he didn't hear the snap count or forgot what it was. That's not good. One more for Mcglinchey. This is 3rd and 24 at midfield just after he committed a false start penalty. First quarter still, just a few plays later, after that sack he gave up. This time, Deebo Samuel's going to run a deep in-breaking route, and he'll be open. If Jimmy Garoppolo could get him the ball, they would have had a chance to convert a 3rd and 24, which is not out of the realm of possibility for good Jimmy. But Mcglinchey, this guy right here, does not hold his block long enough for Jimmy Garoppolo to step up and hit Deebo Samuel on the deeper developing route on 3rd and long. Open now, can't throw it, has to scramble. Gets nothing. So Mcglinchey had a worse game than it even seemed on the television copy. Stock down, Matt Breida. I don't know what happened to this guy. He hasn't been the same since he came back from his injury. This is 2nd and 10 at the 49ers 48, first quarter 2:51. It's what they call a split belly zone play where Kittle is going to come across, take out this guy. So you're going to have a great block from Tomlinson here, a great block from Staley here, and a terrific kick-out block by Kittle. A huge cutback lane. Breida's not going to see it. Like, right now, he should see this. That he can get cut back behind Tomlinson and Staley. There's a huge lane here. Doesn't see it. Just runs outside, gets tackled. You know, Tevin Coleman, for all the stuff we've said about him, all the criticism I've had, he makes that cut. So does Raheem Mostert. Breida used to. He's got to do better than this. It was right there. It was wide open. One more Breida. This is 4th and 1. 1:49 left. The Niners trying to just end the game with their offense. They hand the ball to Breida, who's the last person they should hand it to in this situation. For whatever reason, he can't hold on to the ball anymore. He's a fumbler now. Didn't used to be. He just dives forward on 4th and 1. Niners up 17 with less than 2 minutes left. The one thing you can't do is fumble. Dives into the pile, doesn't go down, fights for extra yards, gets stripped. Vikings recover. Didn't hurt the Niners in this game, but it's something that's going to remain on Kyle Shanahan's mind as he goes into the next game. And really, you can't trust Matt Breida in the playoffs right now. You got two other running backs who are playing too well to risk it with this guy. Old Butterfinger Magoo over here. Final stock down, I'm going Richie James Jr. Not because he's a bad returner. I think he's a terrific returner. An excellent return, absolute asset in the return game. But he's, like a lot of these players on the Niners, he's young, he's inexperienced, and you wonder about the decisions he's going to make in critical moments in the playoffs. When this play happened, I remember thinking Kyle Williams. And a former 49ers player in the press box who I'm not going to say, I'm not going to name his name, As soon as this happened, said I would bench this guy for the rest of the game. You can't have a guy doing this in the playoffs. The punt is inside the 10. And Richie James Jr. catches it over his shoulder. Just a really, really risky move. Had it bounced off his arm or something, this could have been the difference in the game. Maybe not against the Vikings, but this is the way the Niners lost to the Giants in 2011, with Kyle Williams doing things that he hadn't practiced, things out of his character. The game got too big for him. You wonder if the game will get too big for Richie James Jr. when he's doing stuff like this. You should never just let the ball bounce. Let it bounce into the end zone or take whatever. Don't catch the ball over your shoulder. It's too risky. There's no reward. Let's wrap up this video with a look ahead to next week. The Niners have already taken care of the Packers, just beat them up. But the Packers have a great player. I'm not talking about their quarterback. I'm talking about their wide receiver, Davante Adams. He's a great player. The Niners kind of shut him down. They held him to 43 yards. They're probably not going to shut him down like that again because no one shuts him down. They shut him down by rushing the quarterback and making Aaron Rodgers throw errant passes. This guy gets open. If the Niners can't rush the quarterback well, if they give Aaron Rodgers time, they're going to have problems. Whether it's Mosley, Witherspoon, Sherman, K'Wan Williams, this guy's a problem. We've seen that a team with one good wide receiver can beat the 49ers. I'm thinking about the Falcons. The Niners should beat the Packers, but they're going to need a detailed and sophisticated plan for stopping Davante Adams, all kind of different ways, because they can't let Adams do this to Emmanuel Mosley. They got to have plenty of ways to double cover this guy, plenty of ways, not just bracket coverage, all kind of different double coverage. And I will show you and break it all down for you later this week when I preview the 49ers-Packers NFC Championship game. Stay tuned.